The college football playoff rankings are out now, and boy, are people upset. By now, you probably know the top 4, but in the event that you don't, number 1, we got Michigan. Number 2, we got Washington. At 3, we got Texas. And at 4, we got Alabama. Most notably missing from those 4 is undefeated ACC champion Florida State, who are pissed. And I feel a couple ways about this. First of all, before the championship games even started, there was no universe where an SEC team was not going to be in that top 4. Matter of fact, whoever won that SEC championship game was going to make the playoff, regardless. Before the game, I jokingly tweeted, "Congratulations to Georgia and Alabama for making it to the playoffs," because I thought both of them were going to make it in. And would you like to know who else thought that? Texas. That's why they made sure to beat the stuffing out of Oklahoma State, because they knew they had to make a statement to leave no doubt at all that they were one of the 4 best teams in the country. You know who else had a chance to do that? Florida State. And they did not. Whether fair or unfair, they had a chance against Louisville that night to make a statement and say, Jordan Travis may be out, but we're still one of the 4 best teams in the world. And we're going to put it on Louisville on national TV on ABC for the whole world to see. They won 16-6. What do you want? What do you expect from the committee? What do you expect from the public? And after all that, everyone's avoiding the most important question. All the people that are defending Florida State, we're avoiding the most important question. I want you to look me dead in my pupils as I ask this. Do you genuinely believe that Florida State can beat any of the 4 selected college playoff teams, let alone number 1 Michigan, who they would have been playing? Do you think one-on-one right now is currently constructed? Can they beat Alabama? No. Can they beat Texas? No. Could they beat Washington? No. Definitely can't beat Michigan. So by definition, they are not one of the 4 best teams in the country. I'll take it one step further. Does anyone listening to this expect them to beat Georgia? Of course not. So they're not even one of the 5 best teams in the country as currently constructed. So for y'all that are saying that them losing Jordan Travis shouldn't change the equation of how they're considered, clearly it does, because it changes the way we're thinking of them as a team. Now, the one person I do feel bad for in this entire situation is Jordan Travis, because of what he tweeted after the decision came out. It did hit me in my soul. I'm not heartless. It hit me in the soul. Now, Jordan Travis tweeted as follows: "Devastated, heartbroken, in so much disbelief right now. I wish my leg broke earlier in the season so y'all could see this team is so much more than the quarterback. I thought results matter. 13-0 and this roster matches up across any team in the top 4 rankings. I am so sorry, Gold Nose." Okay. Now, when you have a college kid apologizing for breaking his leg, that's going to pull on anyone's heartstrings, right? However, like I just said a couple minutes ago, it does change how we see the roster. It just does. I'm sorry, guys. It just does. And I could already hear, "Oh, but the kids, it's so unfair to the Florida State students and the athletes, and it's so unfair." So now we care about the players, huh? So now we care about these athletes. These athletes, these very same athletes that y'all say are ruining college football. Oh, with the transfer portals and the NIL. Oh, they're just ruining the game. Jordan Travis himself is a transfer from Louisville. And if you've listened to me at any point, you know I am as pro player as it gets. I'm always here to defend athletes, especially when they're of college age. And the way that these weirdos react to these kids going into the transfer portal, it irks my spirit, and I don't think it ever won't irk my spirit. But I think I have a solution that'll be great for all of us. If we treat college football like the professional sports league that it is and always has been, we could fix this overnight, and we don't have to deal with none of this transferring shit. Get the players a union, get a CBA or collective bargaining agreement for y'all that don't know what CBA stands for, with each conference or with the NCAA as a whole or whatever y'all decide on. Get actual contracts with the school where the school pays them and not whatever NIL sponsor or super PAC of donors. No, from the school, the actual people they're generating revenue for. More on that later. And have, when they sign their letter of intent, they're signing a contract with the school, whether it's for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, include a red shirt stipulation or whatever. Make this professional because that's what it is. That's where it's heading anyway. So let's rip off the Band-Aid now and just make it happen. Oh, and most importantly, I cannot stress this enough. Have the school pay them. I'm so tired of hearing y'all say they're making all this NIL money from the school. Why would they leave the school? The school is not paying them. It's not the school that's paying them. Oh my, just read a goddamn book. I can already hear the counter argument. Oh, but then they won't go to class anymore. Oh, then they won't be students. Have you ever heard of work study? Have you ever heard of graduate assistants? All these other people are capable of working a job and going to class at the same time. These athletes have already been doing it for decades. They're just not getting paid for it. That's the only difference. Now they're getting paid. And since we're going to be treating them like professionals now, giving them an actual deal and contract, the same way Patrick Mahomes can't just up and transfer from the Chiefs to go over to the Patriots because they have a contract together, all he can do is demand a trade. The same logic is gonna work with the college students. The whole student athlete thing has been a facade since the beginning of time. It's time we just acknowledge it. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go. Also, why would these players be loyal to these schools that clearly are not loyal to them? In my opinion, the three greatest college football players are Reggie Bush, Cam Newton, Joe Burrow. The bottom two, if they would not have transferred, would not have had those seasons that they had that are so memorable to us. Imagine if Joe Burrow would have wasted away on the bench in Ohio State. We would have never got arguably the greatest college football team ever assembled at LSU. In your weird dream world where players are at the school they signed their letter of intent to and they're just stuck there for the rest of their lives, we would have never got the magical Auburn Cam Newton season, which is the only relevant Auburn season we've ever got. All this crying about the players making money and they're free to transfer and blah, blah, blah. Y'all never have any of this smoke for the coaches. And that's what really gets me. Mike Norvell is making somewhere in the area of $8.3 million a year, with a $250,000 signing bonus just for still being the coach every December. So for still having his job that he signed the contract for to keep his job, just for still being there, he gets paid. We got one coach that's getting paid for still being there, on top of the contract money he's already making from the contract he signed. And then we got another coach, Jimbo Fisher, who's going to be getting paid $70 million to not work. But God forbid the actual players who we are tuned in to watch actually get something off their labor. That actually brings me to my next point, right? So I was reading the Sports Illustrated article where Deion Sanders was picked as Sports Illustrated Person of the Year, which a lot of people had issues with that. There was no bigger story in sports than Deion Sanders at Colorado. Yeah, it ended poorly, but at the start of it, it was everywhere. The whole sports world was in Boulder, Colorado. And when I was reading the article, I stumbled upon something I thought was pretty interesting. I'm going to read y'all this quote directly. Visit Boulder, the Convention and Visitors Bureau calculates that the total economic impact of the first 4 home games, where the attendance was up by nearly a third over the past year, was an estimated $77.8 million, a massive jump from 2022. Would you like to guess how much of that went to the players? All due respect to Coach Prime, he ain't put on a helmet and shoulder pads since 2005. We are there to see the players play. So again, I ask, how much money did the University of Colorado put in these players' pockets? Not through NIL money, because again, that's not from the damn school. Not improving a locker room, not improving the weight room. To these players, I'll cut the pretense. That number is 0. That money didn't disappear into thin air. That $77.8 million went into somebody's pocket. It just didn't go in the pocket of the people that were actually doing the labor that produced it. You know, back in the day, we used to have a word for that. It slips my mind right now. It starts with an S. Who knows? All right, off my soapbox I go. So everyone has a problem with the playoffs and the way it's constructed, right? Well, luckily, I'm here to fix it. First of all, we're going to 12 teams next year. Way too many teams. We don't need 12 teams. We need 8. There are now only 4 conferences that matter now that the Pac-12 is gone. ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC. So we can make this real simple. Each conference winner, you're automatically in. No ifs, ands, or buts. Same way it works in the NFL. If you win the AFC East, you're in the playoffs. NFC North, you're in the playoffs. Seeding will depend on record, strength of schedule, tiebreaker, blah, 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 blah. But we'll get there in a second. The next 4 teams, you take the top 3 teams from them same Power 4 schools. That's going to take a while for me to get used. I'm so used to Power 5. But Power 4 schools, take the next 3 teams with the best records. If it's 3 SEC teams, so be it. If it's 3 Big Ten teams, so be it. One of each, even better. And then you take 1 team from the lesser D1 schools. I'm sure they have an actual name for it, mid-majors, I think. But take one of them so they don't feel left out. Even if they lose by 50, oh well. Y'all want to be included so bad? Come on down. Tiebreakers for the seeding, we can make that simple too. We can start with conference record, then we can go to opponent winning percentage so we can start weeding out the teams that schedule cupcakes all season long. Georgia, looking at you. And then we can throw in point differential in case we need another tier. And the best part about this, we don't need a committee and some guy named Boo coming onto the ESPN lot to do an interview to let us know why they didn't let a team in. We have math and established rules. So there is no confusion at all as to why these teams are in and these teams are not. The only thing we can argue about is seeding, which shouldn't matter because all these playoff games are in a neutral site anyways. It could all be so simple, but you'd rather make it hard. Shout out to Lauryn Hill.